Good morning. So this is my upper garden where most all of my lavender is right now. And I'm going to do some lavender picking here. Let's see if I can show you here. These are my lavender plants. As you can tell, I've gleaned a couple of them. And that one, I've got a whole lot more to do. I'm not going to get to all of these by any means. In fact, I have no intentions. And what I usually do is we will take these and block that sun a little bit. We'll take these and prune them back in the fall. So lavender will all go on the ground and then we'll have new babies, which is where most of these came from. I only started off with 2 plants, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I don't know, somewhere around there, 10 years ago. But anyway, then in the springtime I get more plants out there. Let's see if I can get rid of the sun a little bit here. Maybe. So that's all I do. I'm gonna grab some lavender here. Just kind of show you what I do. And I avoid the bees because the bees love lavender, right? I'm definitely going to feed the bees. So I just do it in bunches. Get a bunch of it, and then tie it up. And then this I will hang in my greenhouse and let dry so that I can have some dry lavender. You can cook with dry lavender as well, but I've been making the syrup with fresh lavender, so I don't dry it. I just take it right out and clean it, and I'll show you how I do that. Let me get a bunch of these. For the most part, the bees have already done their thing, because I don't see a whole lot of bees up here right now. Usually when it's in full bloom and it's main season, I have to come up here at dusk because I don't want to interrupt the bees. I respect them. I respect them as long as they respect me. So that's how I do my lavender. So I'm going to be out here for a little bit getting lavender, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is how much I have. It's right here. I gleaned about another plant and a half, and I had a bee come check out what I was doing. So I thought maybe this is plenty. I have lots here that is drying at the moment. So we're just going to add to it here and just dry some lavender. Some of this I'm going to take up top and I'll show you how I process it into some lavender syrup. I'll show you how I do that. I've had more questions about how I do that. So. And you saw my lavender. This is homegrown. It's mine, so I know what's been on it. I know what's been, there's no chemical sprayed on this. So don't use store-bought. Your best bet is to plant your own, and just one bush is all you need. I love lavender. I love gardening. So if you've seen my garden at all, you know what I'm talking about. So I actually rescued 2 of those lavender plants up there. I used to work at the mall, and they were re-landscaping, and pulled out the 2 lavender bushes and threw them in the ditch over nearby, which is funny because they probably didn't realize that those 2 lavender plants would have probably consumed that ditch with lavender. Lavender propagates that easy, that fast. That's how I have so many. I have so many more plants out front too in my front yard. We have planted some. I've given so much of the lavender plants away. I just love playing with lavender and just gardening in general, and seeing what I can do and what I can make out of my lavender. Oh, it smells so good. And once it's dry, you can always take it and sprinkle a little water on it to get the fumes going again. I don't know if you noticed up there, but I do have some white lavender as well. I have a couple bundles left here. And then I kind of, come out in the mornings and propagate some. I don't get the bottoms of the lavender plants because we will prune those back, and then come next spring we'll have a whole bunch more lavender plants. So I love fresh lavender. I just love it. I love dried lavender as well, and make little sashes out of them. So I have 1 bundle left. I'm going to take those up into the house and show you how I do make lavender syrup. So I will be right back. Excuse me. So I wanted to quickly show you how I strip my lavender. And let me grab, I can do it with this. I have a strainer. I usually do it into a bowl and then I'll go from the bowl to the strainer. But I'm not gonna do a whole bunch of this. Maybe, I'm not sure yet. So I take my lavender, and if you have one of these, you sometimes wonder what these tiny little holes are for. Hello. So just poke stem through one of those little holes, and check this out. We can pull our lavender through and get all the little buds off. How easy is that? It's very therapeutic as well. I spent, I'd say probably 2 nights doing these. That's a little too big. I want the stem off of that. So I'm going to pull some of them off. And then just gently pull it back through again. Well, it's not going to do it, so okay, we'll just go that round. And that happens. So, and then if you get the little, sometimes there'll be a little guy here with a couple little flowers. Don't let those little flowers go to waste. And then just fold them on through. Get the little leaves out of there because I don't want those. And then just gently pull it through. Can you see that? I sat down, 2 evenings in a row. I just did lavender. Just screening my lavender. Taking out the flowers. About 2 evenings is all it took me while we're sitting there watching TV. And I got all of this. And this is nice and clean. I'm going to show you. It is fresh. Oh, it smells so good. It is fresh. They are not dried. And then what I do is I'll take the lavender and let me get it. Let me grab a napkin here. And then I'll take this and I'll kind of sift it onto this. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot, but I'm not doing a whole lot. So normally it will be filled with like little flowers that are little dark pieces that I don't need, or the seeds. I'll show the seeds. If you've never seen lavender seeds, they're tiny little black seeds. But we'll get those out, and any kind of little bugs. This is my new growth. Isn't that strange? This is new growth since I let my hair go gray. That is all brand new. Weird. Anyway, let's get back to the lavender. Hang on. Okay, so I have my pan. I have 1 cup of water. Just gonna pour that into the pan. Turn this on. Get it going about medium. And then ratio is 1 and 1. So I got 1 cup of sugar. Put that in there. And set that aside. Let this, you don't really need it to boil. You're just going to have, get the sugar to melt into the water. And then I'm going to grab my lavender here. And I want a 1 tablespoon. I have a half. I made this yesterday, so it's probably over here somewhere. Yep, there it is right there. So here's my 1 tablespoon. And I am just going to get my sugar to melt. And if you're doing bigger batches, you can always do like 3 cups water, 3 cups sugar. I actually did 4 cups water, 4 cups sugar. Yes, it is very sweet, very sugary, very lavendery. But you don't need to use a whole lot. So I use maybe 2 tablespoons for an 8-ounce glass of lemonade. And also I want to share as well, I use organic sugar, raw sugar. It is not white. I mean, it is white, but it's kind of like a beige color. So my lavender syrup comes out a little darker than it normally would. I'm thinking that if you use regular sugar, regular granulated white sugar, that it would come out a little bit more purpley or clear. But I don't use that kind of sugar. I've not used that kind of sugar in forever, so I don't even think I have any in my house. So maybe I do for the hummingbirds. because my husband likes to feed the hummingbirds. So we're going to get this all melted in. It looks pretty melted. Not enough yet though. I want to get it to kind of maybe simmer a little bit. You don't want it to like boil or cook because you don't want to boil away any of the juice or any of the water. So, and then per cup of water that you do, per cup of juice, you do 2 to 3 tablespoons of lavender. So however much lavender you want, I'm going to go ahead and measure my lavender out. It doesn't have to be perfect. I like to do 3 because I love the flavor. Oh goodness, it's starting to simmer a little bit. You can tell the little sides are starting to boil up. So once that starts doing that, it looks pretty melted. I'm going to add my lavender. And it just looks like this. And then you kind of bring it back to a little bit of a simmer. See how it kind of starting to boil up on the sides there. Yesterday I did four cups and it gave me about 5 of those little glass jars. And I froze 4 of them and I have 1 in my refrigerator. Yes, you can freeze jars. You can also put it in a Glad freezer bag and freeze it flat. I do that a lot with larger quantities of things. See how we're starting to simmer over here? So I'm going to now turn it off and put my lid on it. Where's my lid? Oh, there it is. I'm going to put my lid on it, turned it off, and let it set for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you want. I usually set my timer for 20 minutes, and then I'll taste test. And if it's the flavor that I want, then I'm good to go. I'll strain it again and then put it in a jar. And if it is not as much as I want it to be, if I want it a little stronger, I just let it steep for another 10 minutes. You can do this with tea. You can make boil some tea bags and add lavender to that. Doesn't have to be the water and sugar for lavender syrup. You can do that with tea and have lavender tea. So experiment, play, do with it what you want to do. It's a lot of fun. It's very satisfying, and enjoy.